Welcome to the West Point Lake Update. My name is Rocky Millenbein, Park Ranger for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Summertime is here, and on today's show we're going to be talking about some of the things you can do here at West Point Lake to enjoy this beautiful weather. We have Operations Manager, Mr. Steve Logan here, as well as Mr. Ron Savage, a fishing guide on the lake. So stay tuned because we have a great show lined up.
Hi folks, I'm Fred Thompson. This is Laurel Thompson, my wife. We're the gate attendants at Amity Campground on State Road 393 out of Lanett, Alabama. It's a beautiful park here. We have a lot of waterfront sites. We have 96 total sites, 58 are reservable, 38 are non-reservable. Just anyone that walks in can get one. We have 2 shower houses with laundromats. We have 2 boat ramps and a big spacious park. It's 8.5 miles through it, so you could really enjoy yourselves.
Grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I would pray. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. I'll do what it takes till I touch the sky. And I'll take a risk, take a chance, make a change, and break away.
Hi, I'm Ed Browning. This is my wife Sandy. We're gate attendants at Yellow Jacket Beach on West Point Lake. We have a great facility here. We have numerous tables and grills for you to spend a good day out here. And we have a great beach out there. It's a nice, wide, sandy beach, and also a pavilion where you can rent to have family reunions or weddings and so forth. We also have 2 boat ramps across the way. So come out, enjoy yourself. You'll have your family out here for great fun.
Welcome back to the West Point Lake Update. Summer is upon us, and there is no better way to spend the summer than out here at West Point Lake. We've got beautiful campgrounds, beaches, and recreation areas that are here for you to use. And today, Mr. Steve Logan, the Operations Manager at West Point Lake, is here to tell us about some of these parks and the many upgrades that we've recently had made. Steve, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Rocky.
We have some beautiful weather today, and this is just an excellent example of some of the opportunities that we can have here at West Point Lake.
Absolutely.
And we've made several upgrades over the last year, and I'm sure there's a lot of our viewers that don't know particularly all of them. Could you tell us about some of these upgrades and how we came about getting these upgrades?
Be glad to, Rocky. Well, we're fortunate enough to receive funding through the American Recovery Reinvestment Act to the tune of about $3 million that we can invest in our recreation facilities here at West Point Lake. And we tried to focus those funds in the way that the users have told us, and that is to improve the buildings, the restrooms, the shower houses, the shelters. We did that. We, as probably some people know, we had some vault restrooms on this project, and that's not a very good facility to use, so we got rid of some and converted the rest to waterborne. And we improved the inside of the building so that it's very clean, very nice. And a lot of the campers and the day users as well have mentioned how much they like it. And then we were able to take a lot of our campsites, which were used to be all 30 amp, and we upgraded many to 50 amp sites. And a lot of the industry, the RV industry really is kind of demanding more wattage now. So for 50 amps is the rule now. We didn't get them all done, but we have the plans on the shelf, and as soon as we receive the funding, we plan on converting them all to 50 amp at least.
Yeah, the outdoor recreation with the vehicles and everything has grown leaps and bounds since this lake was built. And I'm sure the people in the 1970s that were building this park, if you would have seen these giant motorhomes that come to our parks every day, they probably couldn't even imagine it.
No, I think they were thinking in terms of more primitive camping and maybe 15 to 20 foot campers. And I wish they'd been a little bit more forward thinking, but they did a good job of what they knew to do.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to retrofit as much as we can.
Sure, and you know, we've always had pride in our facilities here at West Point Lake, but now with these ARRA funds, we're at a whole nother level.
That's right.
And you know, personally, I'm telling everybody I know, get out here. If you love to camp beforehand, places like Amity Campground, you know, have had just some huge upgrades.
That's correct.
You know, so people that have been coming out here for years, you know, it's a whole new area.
That's right. We were very fortunate to have the funds to improve the entrance At Amity Campground, we built a new gatehouse, built a new traffic flow so it's much easier to get in and out of the campground. I think it will make the users very proud to come in and see what the tax dollars have been used for.
Yes. You know, and we have so many facilities here at West Point Lake. We've got our 5 campgrounds, we've got 3 beaches. I believe we have around 24 boat ramps that are available, and that doesn't even come close to all the picnic tables, grills, and that sort of thing that we have out here.
Right.
And you know, really, each park has its own personality, we like to say. You know, if you go to one campground for one weekend and you go to another, you're not going to get the exact same product. You know, and I really want to let people know about what's available out here, because I know we have large campgrounds, we have small campgrounds, and like right now we're in Holiday Campground, which is a beautiful area, but it's a very large campground.
Sure is.
And you know, it's got different facilities. You know, like Holiday Campground, it's got over 160 sites.
Right.
And you know, we're going to have 2 boat ramps here. That's going to be very important to, you know, to people. And we're, as you can see, we're right along the river with a beautiful view. But what's some of your favorite facilities out here?
Well, you know, like you said, this is a great campground. It's kind of like a little small city, especially on the holiday weekends. And not only do you have your normal things like your campsites and your playgrounds, and of course you have shower houses and washer dry facilities, but you got miles of roads in here
Sure.
that kids and adults alike can ride their bikes, they can walk on in the coolness of the evenings and in the mornings. So I know a lot of people walking is getting to be a very highly pursued recreational leisure time activity, and so people love to walk out here. You know, other places I like, Rocky, also is the biking trails we have.
Sure.
We have a strong group of people that really enjoy biking, both on the road and in the mountain bike setting. And close to our Schaefer Hurd Campground, we have a mountain bike trail there. It's about 9 miles. Fortunately, it's broken up to where it goes from small challenges to large challenges.
Yeah. And you know, and that's important because we don't want, you know, a seasoned bike rider, mountain biker, they're going to need some challenge. But at the
Right.
same time, there's plenty of intermediate and lower level areas for a novice like me to go out there
Exactly.
and without hurting myself.
Exactly. There's plenty of trails for kids and for the experts out there as well.
Well, you know, we're here in Holiday, but it's kind of funny because right next door, probably 200 yards down the road, we have another campground that's completely different. This is a big city. Whitetail Ridge, on the other hand, is kind of like your small town, homey feeling.
It's more like a suburb.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know,
And
please-
well, I was going to say, Whitetail, of course, used to be a part of Holiday a number of years ago.
Okay.
And then I think management at that time realized that it was just too big, and they decided to break Whitetail off. And as a consequence, you got that small town environment like you're talking about, a little more of a rural feeling, and people come back year after year because they like that specific type of feeling. Then you got the other folks who come to Holiday who like just the campers just busting all over the place.
Sure.
So you're right when you say that there's something out there for everybody.
Sure. And one thing about Whitetail, too, we have the 4th of July is going to be here before we know it, and probably one of the best views of the 4th of July
Oh,
festival.
absolutely. Yeah, right. People can launch from Whitetail or Holiday, get out in the water and look at the fireworks display, or they can sit on the bank and look at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Amity Campground earlier with all the upgrades we had to it, many more 50 amp service sites, a brand new gatehouse, pit toilets revitalized,
Courtesy docks,
new courtesy
replaced.
docks. Sure.
which put those docks full out in the water so when the lake level goes down in the fall and the winter, they can still be used.
And then there's what's several people's favorite campground is our Schaefer Hurd Campground, which is right close to home for us, you know, on the same road as the Visitor Center. And the great thing about it, it's got good interstate access, so
Sure
people
does.
can easily get to it just right outside of West Point.
And it's close to the dam. People like to go to the dam and see the spillway and see the river and things like that. So it is very well located.
Yeah, deep water for those who like to ski and tube and do that sort of thing, as well as you mentioned the bike trail earlier, you know, just right next door to the bike trail. And you know, it's got a giant amphitheater as well that we have different things going on.
Exactly. We've got events that go on there.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, this weekend, I believe, we have a reptile show. And we're inviting not only the campers, but people outside the campground can come there and enjoy it as well. So.
Sure, sure. And so we've got numerous camping opportunities, but that's not the only thing that we do here. You know, we've got 3 beautiful beaches for people to use, you know, including Yellow Jacket's probably our most popular beach,
Right.
you know, just outside of LaGrange. And, you know, it's right across the road from probably our busiest boat ramp,
Exactly.
you know, and it's got probably 30, 40 different picnic sites as well. So for those that are at the beach, you know, they can also have a full day with their family.
And I might add too, Rocky, you know, we have a large shelter at Yellow Jacket, which is on the boat ramp side, and it could probably accommodate a couple hundred people.
Absolutely.
And so shelters has gotten to be very popular with people, groups, reunions, company picnics and so forth. And so we have shelters at a number of parks. Some of them are just first come, first served, but many you can reserve. And that's a very good benefit for those
Sure.
people who are organized that way.
And speaking of that, you know, Rocky Point, we have a monster shelter there that it could probably hold, my guess is well over 200 people.
Well, as you well know, every year we have the special days for special people. And it's not unusual for us to have a crowd of over 500 people there.
Sure.
Yeah, so you're right. It's probably the largest shelter on the project.
Yeah, and along with the fishing pier that, you know, is in that area that is handicap accessible for anyone that's interested in fishing, and with just numerous other opportunities. A deep water boat ramp that's usable year-round.
And at that fishing pier, like you mentioned, we have fishing tractors all around that, so people can catch. And then we have another fishing pier like it at McGee Bridge, which is
Yes.
off Highway 109, and they're very popular.
Yes, and one of our hidden gems, as I like to call it, is Earl Cook, is a giant park that has one of our biggest beaches, and it has 2 shelters right on the beach for groups to use. And it seems like you know, there'll be times that Yellow Jacket's packed out, but Earl Cook, you know, is a beautiful facility, but it's not always got the visitors. So
Earl Cook is kind of like what Whitetail is to Holiday in a way. Has a little small gathering of folks there. Of course, it gets busy during the holiday season, but and it's very easy to get to from the interstate.
Yes.
You just get right off of Exit 6 there where Kia
Yes,
is.
sir.
Shoot right down to Earl Cook, and we're anticipating growth, more visitation
Absolutely.
to Earl Cook because of that.
Absolutely. And you know, these are just a few of the opportunities we have here at West Point Lake. And the important thing that Mr. Logan, I'm sure, would agree with me, is that we want to see you guys out here using it. So come out and see us at West Point Lake, and I'm sure you'll have a wonderful time. Steve, thank you for being with us here on the West Point Lake Update, and we'll be back shortly with more.
Welcome to Earl Cook Recreation Area. We are Pete and Sandy Cavender. We're here to serve you.
We have a full beach here with bathhouses. We have over 70 picnic tables, approximately 40 have grills.
Have a boat ramp, 2 pavilions that you can rent, shelters for any use you want.
We also have tennis courts, basketball courts. It's just a beautiful place. So come on out and enjoy Earl Cook Day Use Area.
There's a place not so far away. A place where you don't have to keep the volume down. Or clean up your room. A place where you don't have to make time for free time. You don't have to do anything but show up. You'll find all sorts of creatures in this place without have to. The silly you. The proud you. You may even meet the curious you.
Tickling me. You!
There are lots of yous to catch up with. Ask your parents to take you to this not so far away place. Come to the forest, where the other you lives. But first, stop by discovertheforest.org.
Welcome to Holiday Campground, one of the most beautiful campgrounds on West Point Lake. This is my wife, Linda. I'm Jerry Boblins. We have roughly 162 sites in the campground. We have an ample supply of 30 amp and 50 amp sites, and we have an ample supply of primitive sites for the more hardy. We have 2 boat ramps. We have 2 group camping sites that have 5 camper and 5 primitive sites. It's good fishing around the lake, And it takes about 13 miles to go around the campground, which means all the sites are well spaced out. Almost all of them are water accessible, and some of them are right on the water. Welcome to Holiday Campground.
Welcome back. Now we have longtime friend and fishing guide here at West Point Lake, Mr. Ron Savage. Ron, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
It's good to have you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
You know, it's like we've been talking all today, all this show about what people can do out here at West Point Lake. And with a beautiful 26,000 acre lake like this, one of the biggest things you can do, you can go fishing. And it's a great time right now to be doing that, correct, sir?
Exactly. Right now we've got the fish have come off the beds and they're moving back out down what we call the lead-in banks, which are just kind of shallow banks that go back into the spawning flats. And they're coming back out these banks right now, so you can actually come out to the lake. I don't know if the public knows it out there, but West Point Lake is open all the way around the lake for fishing. You can go anywhere on West Point Lake and go down to the shoreline and catch a fish. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful thing that you know with the Corps of Engineers, there's certain lakes that you can't do that. You can't just go down and just fish on the lake, on the banks anywhere. So it's a great place to come down and just enjoy it. Bring your family out right now, and you can catch fish on a topwater bait right now, and topwater season is on.
Sure.
You know, May is a tremendous time to catch fish on topwater baits.
And we were just talking earlier about this is probably the most exciting way to go fishing, because you're popping that lure on top of the water and it's like a truck hitting a tree or something like that. That fish grabs a hold of that bait and it's it's just get your heart pumping.
It absolutely does. You know, if you've never caught a bass on a topwater bait, you haven't lived.
Sure.
Because like you say, when you throw it out there, you basically, and I've got a bait I brought here that's working very well right now. It's called a Pop-R.
Okay.
It's a small bait, and we've got, I don't know, most of the folks out there probably experienced this here lately, wondering what all that squealing and sounds like a bunch of kids yelling in the woods out there. But what it is katydids that are in the woods right now and in the trees and all, and they've started to die because the cycle has come to the end. Mm-hmm. And they're falling in the lake, all over the lake. And when they fall in the lake, of course, they're still moving and still moving around just like something alive up there. And it draws these fish in on top, and they come in and explode on those katydids.
Sure.
So right now I am taking, with my guide trips, I'm taking a bait that looks very similar to a katydid.
Okay.
This is a Pop-R, and it actually has the same colors. If you'll take one of those baits, and this is called matching the hatch. If you'll take one of those bugs and look at it, has a lot of orange and brown in it. So I went back to the house and went through my thousands of lures and found some that were similar to that color.
Sure.
And took it out on the guide trips and throwed it out there and popped it on top, just like those katydids moving around on top. And boy, they just explode on it. And like you said, there's no more exciting fishing than topwater bass fishing. And you can do that right now.
Sure.
And you can do it right on the banks because the fish are still close to the banks.
Okay, and you're catching, when you're doing that, you're catching mostly spotted bass and largemouth bass? Is that
Absolutely.
correct?
And right now, more spotted bass than largemouth because largemouth are still kind of recovering from the spawn.
Okay.
So they're kind of still slow, but they'll hit it now if you get it close to them. But the spotted bass always spawn first, and so they've recovered now, and they've got a lot more energy and pep, and they're really into feeding right now.
Sure, sure. And, you know, we've had this past month in May, we had the Bassmaster tournament out here.
Right.
And it ended up being a very successful event. And as a fishing guide, you probably know more about it than I did. Can you kind of tell us, you know, the ins and outs of what happened?
Well, this Bassmaster Elite Series that came here, we brought some of the biggest names in bass fishing, and everybody out there knows Kevin Van Dam. He's the #1 bass fisherman in the world, and he actually was here fishing this tournament. Now, me and Kevin go back a long way. I knew him back years ago when he first got into fishing, and he was getting started way back then, and I knew at that time with his energy and what he already knew about bass fishing. But this tournament came in here and they brought their wives, their families, and some of their in-laws, and they just lived in this community for a month. And they spent money in the motels, hotels, in the restaurants, and in our stores, and just brought a lot of revenue to this community. And then they came out on the lake and they were really surprised. They're used to fishing much larger reservoirs than this reservoir. And they were really surprised at the bass population in this lake. And we have a tremendous population. And I've said it for years, and I'll say it today in front of the audience, that if you want to catch a big largemouth bass on a reservoir in the state of Georgia, there's no better place than West Point Lake.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine them used to fishing bigger lakes, because I see West Point Lake as a 26,000 acre lake, and I think, wow, what a huge lake. But you're right, and I think everyone was pleasantly surprised. The winning weight was 64 pounds over 20 fish.
Right.
You know, so we're talking a well over, you know, a 3 pound average.
Exactly.
And that's just his top 20 fish. So
That's right.
he's probably caught in that 4 day period. There's no telling how
There's
many
no
fish.
telling how many fish they caught. And they all, the buzz was they couldn't believe the population of bass that we had on what they called a small reservoir. you know.
Sure.
But as you know, and I know too, that this lake doesn't have a whole lot of pressure in fishing like a lot of the lakes like Lanier or Altoona that are close to Atlanta, you know. You can come out here during the week and hardly see another boat. Most of the activity is going to be on Saturday and Sunday, you know, and you'll have your local tournaments. But it's such a wonderful place here on West Point Lake in that it's always been natural. It still looks the same. I started here 33 years ago. And 33 years ago, you could have never told me this lake is going to look about the same as it did 33 years ago. You don't see condominiums, you don't see golf courses, you don't see that on this lake. You actually can come out here and probably witness an eagle flying over.
Absolutely.
Turkeys on the bank, deer walking the banks. You know, there's just not a better place anywhere as far as I'm concerned. And I get offers to go to Canada, Alaska, and all these places, even the Amazon. Why would I want to do that? I love it right here on West Point Lake.
You know, we like to think of West Point Lake as a hidden gem.
It
you know,
certainly is.
And at the same time, we want to make it available for people. We want people to enjoy the
That's
beautiful
right.
lake that we get to see every day.
Exactly.
You know, and we've talked a lot about the bass fishing in this lake, but really there's more fish in here than bass. You know, because we have a wide variety of anglers out here. What are some of the other fish that are usually caught out here?
Well, we have a big population now of striper bass in the lake. They were introduced here 3 or 4 years ago and have done extremely well. One thing about this lake is we have an abundance of threadfin shad, gizzard shad. We have a big population of bait fish in the lake. And by that, having that much bait fish, and of course, stripers are known as eating machines.
Sure.
They eat all the time, and they're moving all the time. And you can catch a fish up to 30 pounds on this lake, a striper up to 30 pounds, and that's a wonderful thing. And then we have hybrids, which is a mixture of a white bass and a striper. And it's not quite as big as a striper gets, but they're very bulky, they're very strong, they're a lot of fun to catch, and a lot of folks like the and we might want to talk a little bit about the eating of the fish of the lake.
Sure.
I like and prefer the spotted bass on
Okay.
the lake, and they are very much, the texture is very much like a crappie.
Okay.
Very good eating fish, and it's good to harvest spotted bass because they are so protective of their young and they're so elusive that they'll overpopulate over a lake.
They're a very aggressive
Very
fish.
aggressive. So keep your spotted bass and eat them. They're great
Yeah.
to eat. You know?
And a lot of people, they'll catch a spotted bass and just assume it's a largemouth bass, but because they are very similar. But in reality, you know, the largemouth bass gets bigger.
And it gets bigger.
You know, so because the spotted bass is more aggressive, a lot of times they're pushing this largemouth bass population down.
That's right.
So that's another reason to keep the spotted bass under
And if you ever want to know the difference in a spotted bass and a largemouth, and you can't seem to figure that out because they do look similar.
Sure.
If you'll open its mouth and just rub its tongue, it'll have a Velcro type patch on its tongue.
Okay.
A largemouth will not have that Velcro type patch.
Okay.
Just rub its tongue a little bit. If you feel that Velcro patch on there, that's a spotted bass. And go ahead and throw it in the live well and take it home and clean it and eat it. It's wonderful eating.
Okay, great. And you know, Ron, you as we mentioned before, you have a fishing guide service,
Right.
and you're available to people. How can they get a hold of you if they want to have you bring them out here to the lake?
Well, they can call 706-884-6232. I've had that number for over 30 years. They can reach me that way. And of course, if they get my answering service, I'll get back to them that evening when I get in off the lake, and we'll talk about it and set it up for them. Let me say this to all the parents out there. If you've never carried your son or daughter fishing, it's some of the best things in the world you can do for them, because as they're growing up, if they continue to stay around the TV with those games and stuff instead of getting out in nature and enjoying nature, then they'll never really know what life is really about, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely, that's a good message for everyone. Well, Ron, thank you so much for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back here again.
All right, thank
so
you.
stick around. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So stick around because we've got more show to come.
Hello. Welcome to Rocky Point Recreation Area. This is a day-use park. We have a variety of things to offer, such as a very large pavilion for accommodating up to 250 people. And we also have, adjoining that, a large swimming area and life jackets that can be used free of charge for the day to make sure that everybody is safe and sound. One of the most popular items in the parks are fishing pier. We have folks that are here 7 days a week trying their luck and having a great amount of success. But if you're in a boat, bring it along. We have 2 different ramps actually, accommodating people at the same time, and room to park your trailers for about 25. We are Gail and Bob Van Dam.
Hi.
We're hosts here at Rocky Point, and we'd like to see you out here to join us in a variety of activities.
It's always wildfire season somewhere in America. Nearly 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by the carelessness of humans and could be prevented. But together, we can make a difference.
Watch what I can do!
Help protect the home of our forest friends.
Come on! You can do it!
Only you can prevent wildfires.
To find out more, log on to SmokeyBear.com.
Good morning. This is John and Alice Ayers. We are the park attendants here at R. Schaefer Herd. We have 117 campsites with 10 doubles. We have pull-through campsites.
We have campsites that have beautiful decks. We have bathhouses. We have playgrounds for children, tennis court, basketball, baseball.
We have an amphitheater that is used periodically for different shows. It's just a great, enjoyable place to come and enjoy yourselves.
And it's just a beautiful area here. It's beautifully landscaped, and we would love for everyone to come and enjoy it with us.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on the West Point Lake Update. We've had a great show, and I hope you've enjoyed it. We want you to come out here to West Point Lake and have a wonderful time, but most importantly, stay safe. So remember, when you're on the water, wear your life jacket, so you can come back time and time again to come see us. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
Hi, welcome to Whitetail Ridge Campground. My name is Dan. This is my wife, Christy. We are the smallest and most quaint campground on West Point Lake. We have 58 campsites here. All of our campsites have water and electric. We have shower houses that are nice and clean. We have laundry services. We have the best view of West Point Lake anywhere on this lake. On 4th of July weekend, off of our shoreline, you can see the best view of the fireworks from anywhere on the lake. And as you can see here, we've got life jackets that we loan out to all our guests, and all you have to do is bring ID up here. And we'd like to see everybody come here to Whitetail Ridge Campground and visit us.
You're not the kind of guy that makes the girls all sigh.
2 for $3.
They never turn their heads and look when you walk by. 'Cause it's the little things.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Helping.
What a nice young man.
Pass it on.
My goodness.
message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
I better get out of here. Ooh,